Once upon a time, there was a nobleman named Macbeth. He lived happily in Scotland with his wife as Thane of Glamis. All was well until one day after his battle, he encountered three inhabitants of the earth that promised he would be king hereafter. This triggered his greed and desire for power. Act 1, Scene 7. In this scene, Macbeth is having an internal conflict on whether to stay loyal to King Duncan or to kill him and take the throne. Shakespeare uses literal and figurative imagery, sentence structure, multiple meanings, and themes to emphasize the ominous mood and dramatics of the play, Macbeth.
In Shakespeare's play, most of the time characters like Macbeth speak in iambic pentameter, meaning there are always 10 syllables in a line, with every other syllable stressed. For example, in this passage, Macbeth says, "Could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here but here, upon this bank and shoal of time," and so on. It is a poetic way of speaking as well as creating rhythm to characters' dialogue, especially in long monologues like this one. At first, Macbeth is conflicted whether or not to kill Duncan, and is thinking to himself out loud in a normal way, sentence structure-wise. He starts making lists for himself, weighing the pros and cons to either staying loyal to Duncan or taking his power. He uses words like first, then, and besides to show his thinking. Then he starts speaking in longer ongoing sentences, as if he was rambling on and on about his conflicts and frustration, yet excited with the decision he has finally made to kill Duncan. This is the turning point for the rest of the scene, when he explains that only vaulting ambition which overlaps itself and falls on the other. His desires and ambitions for authority is what's keeping him moving forward.
In this scene, Macbeth tries to talk himself out of killing Duncan. He says, "But for the crimes like these, there is still punishment in this world. By committing violent crime, we only teach other people to commit violence, and the violence of our students will come back to plague us teacher. Justice being equal to everyone forces us to drink the poisoned cup that we serve to others." The key words here are plague and inventor. That basically sums up the reason why Macbeth is scared to kill Duncan, because he's scared that consequences will catch up to him eventually. Macbeth explains above that if the assassination of Duncan was quick and wouldn't follow up with any consequences, he would gladly kill Duncan. Follow along with that. The key words in this section is consequences and assassination. In this section, we find out what is driving Macbeth to kill Duncan. Purely for his ambition and greed for authority. But in the section above, Macbeth lists all the reasons why to not kill Duncan, for Duncan is a noble man and also Macbeth is one of his kingsmen, that Macbeth should also be killing off people who want to murder him, not murder Duncan himself. In this passage, Shakespeare uses different symbols and imagery. One example of this is when he says, "Return to plague the inventor." In this case, the inventors are Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. They were the ones who came up with the plan to kill Duncan. Plague is a disease that results in death, and in this case, the inventor is Macbeth. Therefore, I think what Shakespeare is trying to symbolize in this sentence is karma. One type of symbolism I found in this passage was the word wind. Wind is often used when secrets are involved in the plot, as wind can sometimes sound like whispers. Macbeth is going to kill the king, but he doesn't want anyone finding out, or else he would be in a lot of trouble. Therefore, he's a little paranoid about the whole situation. Macbeth says, "Tears shall drown the wind." I think what Shakespeare is trying to say is after the king's death, the people of the land will be grieving and crying that they won't be able to hear the tiny whispers of the wind telling the truth, that Macbeth killed Duncan. This means that they will be more concerned about the king's death. Nobody will suspect Macbeth of killing Duncan, or so he hopes. Lastly, Shakespeare also uses imagery. He states, "Commends the ingredients of our poisoned chalice to our own lips." By using the word "our," he is able to tap into our senses, making us think of our own lips. He chooses the word poison to symbolize death. And a chalice is a royal cup that can be served at dinner with wine. Shakespeare uses these two words to show that by Macbeth being Duncan's host, he will have to serve Duncan. This adds irony, as he uses the word poison to refer to the fact that Macbeth is going to murder Duncan in his sleep. Overall, a poisoned chalice is a creative way of saying Macbeth is going to serve Duncan his death.
Throughout this passage, Macbeth's thoughts and decisions are driven by his ambition for authority and a higher status. Shakespeare uses dictation to set the mood of the scene. He emphasizes certain words or phrases to add dynamics, and so the reader can also create multiple meanings based on those words and phrases. His unique sentence structure creates a rhythm as the characters are speaking, which help express their emotion in a more powerful way. Literal imagery and symbolism allow readers to understand the characters better, based on their senses and the themes they revolve around. Figurative imagery allows readers to understand the characters and the context better through comparisons. Each of these four elements further emphasize the ominous mood and dramatics of the play Macbeth, which express the overall theme of ambition for authority.